We are the restaurant brokers, and we sell restaurants.
We started the nation's largest restaurant brokerage firm over a decade ago.
Atlanta, Georgia was our starting point, but our brand is spreading nationwide. We define restaurant brokerage and help buyers just like these.
Our dream, our goal, open up a restaurant, loving life, serving people breakfast and lunch, and then enjoying the rest of the day with them and ourselves.
Buying an existing restaurant, leasing a closed restaurant space, or purchasing a restaurant franchise. We help buyers satisfy their appetite for acquisition.
I'm part of a husband and wife team with this fella.
Working with my wife has been a lot of fun. The ultimate goal for everybody here is to make this work. And because we have different strengths, we bring different angles to the deal.
The process begins with our powerhouse website, WeSellRestaurants.com, where buyers sign online confidentiality agreements and browse restaurants for sale.
Then we send buyers undercover to check out a restaurant and decide if it's the right one for them.
Buyers get our proprietary business analysis tool with all the financial details on the business for sale.
After studying the restaurant inside and out, it's back to our office.
We're deal makers. We write contracts and negotiate terms for buyers and sellers. That's why we sell more restaurants than any other firm in the nation. We are the restaurant brokers. Our name says it all. That sound means you're back on the air with the Restaurant Brokers, and we are talking restaurant reality. Yep, you know, this is the part of the show where we take what we have been listening to and roll it into advice, information, and just our overall thoughts on the restaurant industry. So, Eric, we've been talking about beer. Truly important and probably overlooked part of the bar. Would you agree?
It is. What a show. I mean, if you thought you know about beer, unless you're already deep in the craft beer business, you have a lot to learn. I mean, there was a lot of information today talking about how it's changing. I mean, this is no longer your grandma, your grandpa, your dad, your uncle's bar where, you know, Bud Light, you know, Coors Light, you know, are still very strong, stable. They're still in control a lot of the marketplace, but you can't just live with that anymore. You got to have a whole new, I mean, you got to have a lot of beers. I mean, we heard today from our panels, I mean, there's so many beers out there, and it looks like the consumer is looking to get some more of that variety. They want to taste a lot of stuff. Is that right, Robin?
They really, I think that any restaurateur is being challenged to actually deliver. And it's, you know, we talk about those challenges every week, that, you know, how do you keep up on your menu and stay fresh and stay appropriate? And just when you think kind of, oh gosh, you know, I got that under control, it's like, whoop, here's another challenge. And you got to have it under control when it comes to your bar, and not just your bar, but also your beer in particular, because I think that it's a differentiator. It's a way to drive traffic to your business. It's a way, most of all, because we're about the numbers, to raise your average ticket. Because what happens if somebody comes in and has a dinner with you, maybe they don't drink caffeine, so that you're down to water and a meal,
yep, versus
somebody who comes in and they get excited about a beer, in particular a craft beer, so your average ticket goes up dramatically. Then they like that, or they want to sample a couple of things, and so that just exponentially increases. So it's a real way to drive your bottom line profit and top line sales.
People will pay top dollar for a pint of a draft, or even a bottled draft beer. They'll pay $8, $9, $10, $11, $12, $15 for this. I mean, look at the World of Beers. Go to these places. Go to some of the growlers that you have locally. I mean, it is changing. I mean, beer is now part of food. I mean, this is not just a beer, you know, with pretzels. I mean, that is gone. I mean, this is not what people are looking for. People want to have a paired. They want style. They want flavors. I mean, they also want a craft beer movement. It's very interesting because you'll never see probably Grey Goose and Ciroc, two big competitors in the vodka business, go together and do things. We heard Zach talking today about, you know, community involvement, breweries helping each other. It is a very different philosophy, and I think that should also reflect into your bar business and your community to have these local craft beer. One of our guests today said, first thing you do if you want to get in the craft beer business, look what's in your backyard. And this is very important. I mean, you got to look who is local that you can bring, because they're also part of your community. They may donate. SweetWater in Atlanta, we heard about some of the effort they do in Georgia here for the environment and different things. I know they're very big with the Chattahoochee River and different things like that. So they support local river. You support them locally, everybody wins. And that's also part of the difference that you have that you may not have with a Budweiser or a Coors Light or Miller Lite or different beers out there. So it's very important. And what amazes me is the variety. I mean, Robin, last time we went to one of these places, I had to get like this flight thing with 5 different beers because, I wanted to try so many. There was cheesecake beer. There was chocolate beer. There was cherry beer.
I think that's really interesting, the different flavor profiles and the way he described that in the making of the beer, you can actually infuse with these flavors that then layer on to the food experience. And I think in a lot of ways it's not because the beer flavors come forward a little bit faster. It's true. We've all been to those wine events and somebody's saying, oh, I can taste the this and the that and the undertones. And I'm sorry, but, it's unless you do it every single day and it's part of your palate, that's a very refined flavor to get to in a wine. But in a beer, it is kind of front and center. And you also typically pair it with a little bit more hearty type of a fare, a lot more savory, a lot more salty, just a lot more in-your-face kind of flavors.
Oh, yeah. We talk about infusing beer. Flavoring the beer after it's even brewed. You can go and have some different flavors in there, it is amazing from that perspective. And again, people are looking for quality over quantity. I remember in my college days, it was, $2 pitchers. And how many pitchers can you get before the 10 o'clock rings? Just after 10 o'clock, it will go up. And these days are gone. People are not looking to buy several large pitchers of beer. They're looking for one good quality, maybe 2, maybe 3, but that is what they're looking for. So it's a very different thing. But one thing that's also important to look at, and we talk about that almost every restaurant reality, is customers are expecting that. They want to ask for it. But also, it is your duty as a restaurateur or somebody who wants to be in the business to teach them about this, to educate them, which becomes your sales tool. So you must educate your team, your bartenders, your waiters. They need to be well aware of that. You know what? Somebody says, oh, I don't drink wine. Well, that's great because we have an excellent beer pairing with this dish today that our chef actually infused that beer specifically, to match this dessert or this dish. And now how many people would go to the restaurant and say, I'd like to recommend you a beer with your dessert? How special would that be?
Well, and I will tell you, it's a tiny, simple marketing technique, and it literally costs you pennies. But when you do your menu, first of all, don't do something that stays the same for, 100 years and it's behind plastic. It costs you nothing to reprint a menu. And when you print it, just pairing that food with a beer or pairing that food with a wine. If you just took your restaurant one night and you say half of the people are going to get the menu that has a recommended pairing with it and half the restaurant's going to get a menu that doesn't have anything except the food on it, you tell me at the average check at the end of the night is going to be 40% higher on that side of the room where you made a conscious choice to give them the pairings. So if you don't do anything else today, run out, take your menu, figure out what's the best wine, what's the best beer. Get some folks to help you. The SweetWater folks will come in and work with you. There are a lot of industry resources, distributors that will sit down and help you with this. And, just take it from me. Just run this little experiment in your restaurant on a Friday or a Saturday and see what happens to your volume. Restaurateurs are always trying to figure out, how do I go outside the box? How do I go outside these 4 doors? And, competitors opening here and I don't have the marketing money there. Take what's in your restaurant, maximize that, raise your average ticket, raise your total sales for the weekend, and honestly, your bottom line profit, it will be dramatically affected because you're turning no more tables, you're just adding to it.
Great advice. And also what we learned, those of you that have more of a sports bar, maybe a bar, one of the challenges you always have, we got to bring more ladies, female clientele to your bar. We've learned today that, women are big into craft beer. So that may be a great way to drive that clientele. And then, if the men want to go watch a sports event, it's no longer the cheap Chardonnay that Robin mentioned earlier in the show. You have now beer and people want to come. If the ladies come to your bar, that if you're a bar owner or a sports bar or something, a lounge, then the guys will come. So this is a win-win situation. So you really got to look hard into this and make this part of your day-to-day and a pillar of your actually business should be at this point. And
beer dinners, events around beer, absolutely, all of those are ways that you can take information we've given you today, drive it back into your restaurant, and ultimately be more successful have higher top-line sales, better bottom-line profitability.
And if you don't have a bar right now to put it in, go to WeSellRestaurants.com. We can put you in a bar so you can actually buy all these great craft beers and put them for sale.
You got it, Eric. Online, we're at WeSellRestaurants.com. You know it. Check us out on Facebook or Facebook.com/WeSellRestaurants. Our Twitter handle's @SellRestaurants. And yes, we're on LinkedIn and YouTube and everywhere else. We Sell Restaurants is your industry authority and source for information. We're the Restaurant Brokers, and we'll be back next week.